In the long, brutal history of human conflict, one thing has always been certain: a human pulled the trigger. A human mind, with all its flaws, fears, and capacity for mercy, made the ultimate, agonizing decision to take a life. But what if that fundamental constant is about to be erased? We're standing on the precipice of the third revolution in warfare, after gunpowder and nuclear arms, and this time, the revolution is happening inside a silicon chip. We are not talking about the drones you see on the news, piloted by people in a bunker thousands of miles away. We are talking about something entirely new: lethal autonomous weapon systems, or laws, what some call killer robots. These are weapon systems that, once activated, can independently search for, identify, target, and kill human beings without any further intervention by a human operator. This isn't science fiction. This is the new reality of a global AI arms race that is happening right now, largely in the shadows. Major world powers are in a frantic race to build the ultimate soldier, one that feels no fear, needs no rest, and has no conscience. Today, GENSHIFT is investigating this terrifying future. We'll explore the powerful arguments for and against giving machines the power of life and death. Get ready to confront the ultimate moral question of our time. Hit that subscribe button now to join us in navigating tomorrow's mind and the technologies shaping our world. One, the case for AI soldiers: speed, precision, and saving lives. To understand why we are even considering this path, we have to step into the cold logic of modern military strategy. The argument for autonomous weapons isn't born from a desire for dystopian machines, but from a pragmatic, almost clinical pursuit of military advantage and, paradoxically, a desire to make war more humane. The primary goal of any military is to achieve its objectives while protecting its own soldiers. From this perspective, a machine is the perfect soldier. It doesn't get tired on long missions, it feels no fear in the face of overwhelming odds, and it doesn't suffer from the psychological trauma, the moral injury, that haunts human soldiers for the rest of their lives. It can be sent on the dull, dirty, or dangerous missions that are often the deadliest for people. Beyond endurance, the most significant advantage is speed. In the hyper-fast environment of modern warfare, where a threat can emerge and strike in seconds, human reaction time is a critical vulnerability. An AI, however, can process data from thousands of sensors simultaneously, compressing the decision loop from minutes to milliseconds. An autonomous defense system can detect and neutralize an incoming missile faster than any human pilot ever could. This machine-speed reaction isn't just about efficiency. Proponents argue it's about survival, preventing attacks that a human operator might be too slow to stop. But the most challenging and counterintuitive argument in favor of laws is the claim that they could actually reduce civilian casualties. War is chaotic, and human soldiers operating under extreme stress and fatigue make mistakes. Emotions like anger, fear, or a desire for revenge can cloud judgment, leading to tragic errors and war crimes. An algorithm, the argument goes, has no such emotions. It is designed to follow the rules of engagement and the laws of armed conflict with dispassionate precision. By analyzing complex battlefield data, distinguishing between a civilian holding a phone and a combatant holding a weapon with a degree of accuracy a stressed human might lack, AEI could theoretically lead to more precise targeting and less collateral damage. In this view, removing the flawed, fallible human from the immediate decision to kill could result in a form of warfare that is more discriminate and more compliant with international humanitarian law. It's a vision of a logical, optimized battlefield where victory is achieved with maximum efficiency and minimum loss of friendly life, a chillingly rational utopia that forces us to ask a difficult question. If a machine could wage war better and more ethically than a human, would we have a moral obligation to use it? 2. The ultimate line: empathy, responsibility, and the kill chain. That logical utopia, however, begins to crumble when we examine what is lost when we outsource the decision to kill. To understand the gravity of this shift, we need to look at a military concept called the kill chain. It's a sequence of actions: find, fix, track, target, engage, and assess. For decades, even with advanced technology, a human being has been firmly in control of the most critical steps: target and engage. Lethal autonomous weapons propose to automate these final, irreversible links in the chain, removing human judgment at the exact moment it is most needed. This creates a cascade of ethical disasters, the first of which is the accountability vacuum. If an autonomous weapon makes a mistake, if it misidentifies a school bus as a military transport and attacks, who is responsible? Is it the programmer who wrote the code months or years earlier? Is it the commander who deployed the system but had no control over its final action? Or is it the machine itself, which can't be held morally or legally accountable? This isn't just a legal puzzle. It creates what experts call a moral crumple zone, where responsibility is diffused so completely that it effectively vanishes, leaving victims with no justice and society with no one to hold to account. Deeper than the legal chaos is the problem of digital dehumanization. A machine, no matter how sophisticated, operates on data. It reduces a human being, with a family, hopes, and inherent dignity, into a collection of pixels, a set of coordinates, a data point to be processed. It cannot comprehend the value of the life it is about to take. It lacks empathy, compassion, and the capacity for mercy, the very human qualities that, even in the horror of war, can provide a crucial check on violence. Paul Shara, a former U.S. Army Ranger, tells a powerful story from his time in Afghanistan. His unit had a potential target in their sights, but a little girl kept running in and out of the building. Legally, under the rules of war, they could have taken the shot, but they didn't. As Shara puts it would have been the wrong thing to do. He asks the critical question, how would you design a robot to know the difference between what is legal and what is right? You can't program wisdom, you can't code mercy. A machine could be programmed to follow the laws of war, but it could never be programmed to understand the principles of humanity that underpin them. Finally, even the argument for superior precision is built on a fragile foundation. AI systems are trained on data collected by humans, and they inherit our biases. Algorithms have been shown to misidentify women and people of color at higher rates. A weapon system trained on biased data could systematically target certain populations, embedding societal prejudice into lethal code. This isn't a hypothetical risk. It's a documented flaw in AI technology that would have catastrophic consequences on the battlefield. When you combine the absence of accountability, the erosion of human dignity, and the risk of algorithmic bias, the picture becomes terrifyingly clear. We are contemplating the creation of systems that make war easier to start, harder to stop, and fundamentally devoid of the human conscience that, however imperfectly, has always served as its final moral guardrail. 3. A dangerous race, the global AI arms race. This ethical debate is not happening in a vacuum. It is being violently accelerated by a global AI arms race, a high-stakes competition between the world's superpowers. Russian President Vladimir Putin stated bluntly that whoever becomes the leader in AI will be the ruler of the world. This sentiment is driving a new, undeclared Cold War, fought not with nuclear warheads, but with algorithms and autonomous systems. The United States, China, and Russia are the three main competitors, each with a distinct strategy. The U.S. is focused on maintaining its technological superiority through initiatives like the Pentagon's Replicator program, which aims to rapidly field thousands of autonomous systems to counter China's numerical advantage. China is pursuing a strategy of military-civil fusion, leveraging its massive tech industry to become the world's premier AI power by 2030, developing capabilities for what it calls intelligentized warfare. Russia, meanwhile, has declared its goal to have 30% of its combat power consist of robotic platforms by 2030, actively testing autonomous tanks and drone systems. While these nations race ahead, international law is struggling to keep up. For over a decade, diplomats have gathered at the United Nations in Geneva as part of the Convention on Certain Conventional Weapons to debate a potential treaty on laws. But progress has been glacial. The process requires consensus, meaning a single country can block any meaningful progress, and militarily significant states, including the US and Russia, have resisted calls for a legally binding ban. Civil society organizations and the UN Secretary General himself have expressed alarm, calling the weapons morally repugnant and urging nations to conclude a treaty by 2026, but the talks remain deadlocked. This regulatory failure creates an incredibly dangerous power vacuum. Without established rules or norms, there is nothing to prevent the proliferation of these weapons or to manage their use. This leads to the most terrifying risk of all: accidental escalation and flash wars. Imagine a future where the defense networks of opposing nations are run by autonomous AI systems. A sensor glitch or a misinterpretation of data by one system could trigger a defensive action, which is then perceived as an attack by the opposing AI, triggering a counterattack. A chain reaction could unfold at machine speed, spiraling into a full-scale conflict in minutes or even seconds, with no time for human diplomats to intervene. We would be taking humans out of the loop, not just for single-strike decisions, but for the decision to go to war itself. We are building a future where our survival could depend on the flawless functioning of competing black boxes of code, a future where humanity becomes a spectator to its own destruction. 4. A red line to draw: the future of human control. So we are brought back to the central question, not of technology, but of humanity. Where do we draw the line? This is not a distant, abstract debate for generals and diplomats. It is the defining ethical challenge of our generation, and it strikes at the heart of the anxiety many of us feel about a future increasingly shaped by forces that seem beyond our control. The development of laws represents the ultimate outsourcing of human agency, handing over the most profound moral decision, the decision to take a life, to a machine. The concept that has emerged from the international debate is meaningful human control. This is the red line. It means more than just having a human who can abort a mission. It means a human operator must understand the context, comprehend the technology's capabilities and limitations, and retain ultimate authority and responsibility over every single use of force. It is the principle that technology must remain a tool to augment human judgment, not a replacement for it. Without this control, we don't just risk legal and ethical breaches. We risk eroding our own humanity. We risk creating a psychological distance from the act of killing that makes violence cheaper, easier, and more palatable. It's a path that leads to what the Stop Killer Robots campaign calls the ultimate digital dehumanization, where people are reduced to objects to be targeted and eliminated by an algorithm. This isn't an argument against technology. It's an argument for wisdom. In the same way the world came together to ban blinding laser weapons and chemical agents, we now face a similar choice. The future is not yet written. The code for these weapons is being developed in labs today, but the social and legal code that will govern them is still being debated in the court of public opinion. For a generation that has grown up navigating the complexities of algorithms in our social lives and information feeds, we have a unique understanding of both their power and their peril. Demanding transparency from developers, accountability from leaders, and a global commitment to maintaining meaningful human control is not a radical act. It is a necessary defense of human values that a machine can calculate but never truly comprehend. Conclusion. The future of warfare is not science fiction. The decisions being made today in government offices and tech labs will determine whether our future is one where human conscience remains the final arbiter of life and death, or one where that responsibility is delegated to a machine. This technology is a tool, and we, as a global society, still have the power to decide how it will be used. The race for technological advantage must not come at the cost of our moral compass. We have a brief and closing window to establish a clear red line, to insist that a human must always be in the loop. What do you think? Where should we draw the line on autonomous weapons? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. This conversation is one of the most important of our time. And if you believe in navigating these complex questions together, make sure you subscribe to GenShift and join our community as we continue to explore tomorrow's mind.